I'm Brandon McCone, and behind me is a sunrise. If you've never seen a sunrise before, you would be mesmerized by the beauty of it. The significance of a day starting with a beautiful sunrise. With this documentary, I want to show you a sunrise that happens all the time. A sunrise that no one can take from you, that can happen whenever you want it. Let's start off with the concept of dialectics. It's very simple. Let's say we have a cube. I'm so good at drawing cubes. There we go. We have a cube. Three-dimensional, 6 sides, made up of squares that are 4-sided. That's a cube. So, you don't know everything about this shape. You just know that there's 4 sides. And that's your thesis. But on the other side, you have an antithesis. Someone says that there are 6 sides to the shape. And the thing about dialectics and an antithesis, which is what this is that they don't have to be opposite. They're conflicting, but they don't have to be opposite. They can be 2 truths that exist that conflict with each other. So these 2 ideas have to go back and forth, and back and forth, and try and understand these 2 sides, these 2 arguments. And the cube is the solution to this. The cube is the synthesis. The cube is the synthesis of these 2 ideas. Right? And the idea is you combine these 2 ideas. This shape has 6 sides. But these 4 sides are squares. There are 6 squares that make up the cube. And then finally, both sides have a new point of view, a new understanding, and everything relates. And then, the exciting part about this is eventually, this cube, this new thesis, gets hit with another antithesis. Conflicting information. Something that conflicts with this, but maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. So now, these 2 ideas have to go through another synthesis. And then that becomes the new thesis. And then this thesis goes on and on and on and on. And that's how we understand the world. Hegel understood that this is how we interpret things, how we separate religion from philosophy and how we can combine the 2, how we combine physics with mathematics to understand our universe. There are so many different things that we use dialectics for, and the reason for that is because we are dialectical people. No person on the planet Earth is immune to dialectical exchanges. It happens all the time within ourselves on a daily basis. Even if we don't know it's happening subconsciously. This can be something like having an anxiety attack, the dialectical exchange between the mind and the body. You feel like you're gonna die, or you feel nauseous, or you need to go pee even though you just went, or you're dry heaving over a toilet even though your stomach's empty and you don't have a reason to be nauseous. It's because your mind and your body are trying to figure out what's going on. Something's happening up here, and your body is trying to understand what's going on. Everything evens out, everything works out. Every emotion that you have has a way of working itself out. Everything that you think about and every conclusion that you make is a new catharsis and a new way of learning about yourself. And one of the hardest emotions that I feel like many people struggle with is anger. You see, anger happens when our expectations don't meet the outcome. We get let down, we get our hearts broken, we get screwed over by someone that we thought cared about us, we get betrayed, or something out of our control happens and we're furious. Like, this car, I love this car. And one night I was expecting to drive home with windows that weren't shattered, but this window and the rear passenger side window were smashed out and somebody took a backpack. My expectations weren't met that night. I was very angry, but then I got the windows fixed and they couldn't fix the sensor. So let me show you. I will get the sensor fixed eventually. I just need to take it to the dealership. But for now, when that first happened, I was already frustrated with the day because I had to spend the day going to the dealership, dropping it off, finding a way back, and I finally get the car, and this happens. I'm grateful for my car, beyond grateful, but for a second, I forgot about being grateful because I was too focused on this. My expectations weren't met. And by the third time I tried it, it started getting comical. It started becoming this thing that was funny to me. Almost like the car was pulling a prank on me, or just, I don't know. But it changed my point of view on things because I wasn't frustrated with this. It was just a little side effect. Something that I can't control, but it's fixable. And even if this window seems like it can't roll up now, I can close it. A few extra steps. I'm not gonna roll down the window and then drive down the road and pull over to close it again. But it's alright. When you feel like you're out of control of your emotions, that's okay. That's the time to understand yourself. That's the time to understand these emotions. And that's the time to sit down and meditate. That's not the time to distract yourself. It's not the time to absorb yourself in things. Sometimes you just need to sit down, close your eyes, breathe, and meditate on what you're feeling. You need to name what you're feeling. That's what they tell kids in preschools. When a kid's having a tantrum, or if he's sad, or if he's angry, they ask him why he's angry, why he's sad. And that helps a child's development because they learn early on how to understand those emotions, how to understand how they're feeling. And instead of getting frustrated, instead of breaking something, they can step back, breathe, and try to work it out. Meditation is preparation for death. It's an internal reflection on who you are and what brought you to this moment. It's a deep dive into consciousness and a deep dive into awareness. A grounding and understanding of oneself, how you feel about things and why. This doesn't require effort or concentration. All you need to do is sit, close your eyes, and breathe. Focus on your breathing. Let your thoughts race. Your anger, your anxiety, your fear, your sadness, your sorrow. No matter what it is, let your mind think about it. Run through the day. Run the thought dry. Then let the next one pop up. And don't forget to breathe. The mess will untangle itself until it's just you. You, sitting alone, fully aware of a quiet bliss. This is the place where untouchable happiness resides. This quiet bliss, this deep understanding, I'm not talking about surface level happiness, but a happiness that comes from a deep understanding. A happiness with boundless creativity and knowledge and intelligence. When you feel sad, you hate it. It's painful, it's confusing, and in some cases, it's comforting. It's like a vice, because misery is an abusive addiction. By meditating and praying, we understand the negative part of ourselves. And we understand that it isn't permanent. It's one side of everything. Pain is an aspect of yourself that will never go away. It can't. It's a defense mechanism woven into your nature. But understanding the pain is where happiness comes from. If you ignore a cut, or if you ignore an injury, it might get infected, or it won't heal properly. The mind is the same way. You have to look at the wound to understand the cure. Before I started meditating, I was very anxious. I was insecure. I got angry over very small things. And there were times where I'd completely shut down. But after I began meditating, those things just lifted away. And I didn't realize until someone pointed it out to me. Until people started noticing my good mood. I started making people laugh more. And I started to actually enjoy the things that I was saying. I became engaged with people. I wasn't just waiting for my turn to talk. And I genuinely felt an interest in everything that people were saying. And I felt happy to listen to them. And I could tell that they were happy that they had someone who was listening to them. When I started meditating, my attitude changed within a few weeks. I'm not a wise person. I'm not a smart person. I'm just a normal guy who looked inward and had some interesting ideas that I wanted to share. But the fact that these things are so universal that they fascinate people in casual conversation, to me that's so profound. The ability to tap into some kind of wisdom that I didn't know I had. The ability to find a new way to look at something in ways that I never thought that I could do as a kid. And to somehow find structure and a positive outlook on something that's out of my control and horrible and full of sorrow. By meditating, I was able to understand what was important and what wasn't. And every time I meditate, I'm reminded of the good things to latch on to. And all the bad things that ever happened to me, all the pains and sorrows and anxieties, they all lift away.